Here we're going to go with visualizing domain and range of functions. Let's take a parabola that looks like this. When we have these arrowheads here and here, that means it goes on to infinity. And it goes on infinity to both directions, positive infinity and also negative infinity. So for our domain here, there's no restrictions on our domain. It represents all real numbers. Now our range is all the values top to bottom. And we can see that it goes to positive infinity in this direction, but it comes down to this point. Let's call it -1, 4. -1 represents the x value, where it is left to right. 4 represents where it is in the range. So now we know that 4 is the lowest point. So our range here is going to be from 4 to positive infinity. So it goes 4 is our lowest point, and then it goes to positive infinity on this side. Let's say we looked at f of x is equal to 1 over x. And you don't know this, but I do. It looks like a graph like this. And we'll talk more about these when we do rational functions when we get to chapter 4. Our domain, as we know from a previous video, goes from negative infinity to 0 in union with 0 to positive infinity. So it doesn't include actual 0, and we can see it here on the y-axis, or the f of x axis. The line does not cross. It's asymptotic to this line. But we can also see that it's asymptotic to the x-axis as well. So it goes up to, but does not cross this line. And it goes up to, but does not cross this line. Now you may, well, maybe it does cross it, Hedstrom. I would indicate that whether it crossed or not by this graph that I have here. So I'm going to make my range from negative infinity to 0 in union with 0 to positive infinity. Let's say I looked at a square root function. It's going to look something like this. My domain here, as we discussed in the previous video, goes from 0 to positive infinity, but we can also see that the range here goes up, doesn't level off, increases without bound. So then our range is also going to be from 0 to positive infinity. Okay? Now, the only time it might get a little tricky is maybe they graph something like this. Here, your domain represents these values, whatever they are. So it's the furthest left point to the furthest right point. For the range, you want to look for the lowest value, probably this one, and then the highest value, which is going to be this one. And so this represents all the numbers in your range. And if they give you coordinate points for these, then you could just list those coordinate points. And so your domain and your range would be bracketed sets of numbers.